Hi, I'm here with IG Ceramics. We're going to be talking about her bonsai pots, which are pretty amazing, and this is my second trip all the way from Bonnie Lake to come see her and pick up some pots, and I'll show you why, because these are pretty neat things.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk about what you've done so far with the pots and why bonsai pots.
Alright, so my full name is Iana Glushach. It's maybe hard to pronounce it, but yeah, I'm originally from Ukraine. So how I become involved in ceramic for bonsais? First of all, you can see my garden. I'm starting to be crazy about the bonsai, and it's like right now maybe 100 or 150 trees. I'm not sure how many trees I have, and I have a problem. I need a pot for each food tree, and I'm starting to create some ceramics, and it happened maybe like less than a year ago. And what you can see right now, I'm trying to grow, trying to do something new, creating the new designs, trying to make modern bonsais right now. So yeah, here we are. So here's a free shape or crescent shape. For me, it's like more natural looks for the bonsai pots. It's what most people interested in right now, and it's becoming more popular. It has a bark texture on it with the iron washed finished, so it's like a bit matte look.
And I noticed on that one that it has a variation in glaze color.
Yeah.
Like the metallic seems to be shiny in some sections and not so shiny in others, and it almost has like a grayish, bluish color, and the rest. So it's definitely got more going on than just one color. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, looks like it's actually just one glaze. It's iron wash. It's not even a glaze. It's just like wash. Yeah, and here inside you can see the brown clay. So maybe it's just a reaction with this iron wash with the brown clay, just making such different colors in it. Yeah, I love to using it on such brown clay. So here's the other pot. So it has like a mix of classical shape and some of their like some designer feature. That's what I'm trying to make the pot special. And it has like kind of new created by me the glaze. It's called rusty metal. So you can see all around. Yeah, maybe making the pot looks like a metal one.
It looks like a metal. It also looks like wood.
Yeah.
From certain angles, it almost looks like mountain range. There's a lot really to look at on it.
Yes, just up to your imagination. And so here's one they're using with two different glazes. It makes a flowing effect. I don't know, sometimes I'm looking at it and it reminds me like a forest in the winter time. Winter forest, like snow on the branches. And it has some, I don't know, somebody called dragon, somebody devil, devil head legs with a brown stain on it. It's a cascade shape. Can be good for some deciduous tree, maybe azaleas. Here's the other one. Looks like this one's style, but it's just different glaze. Like inspired from the Game of the Thrones, Night King on White Walker.
Yeah, it's very icy looking, very cold.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know, I love this one.
So could you turn that one so you can see the inside?
It has some drainage hole and hole for the wire.
Yeah, so some well thought out designs on this. A lot of times what I notice in pots that have a single hole in the center is that it's a challenge to secure a pot in there. So seeing those extra wire ties, that's actually a really good feature, and it shows that you know what you're doing. I mean, you've done a bunch of bonsai around here, and you've experienced what it's like when you can't tie in a pot,
Yeah,
a tree
especially
to a
if it's
pot.
a shallow pots, yeah. This is another cascade style pot. It's the hardest to do because you need to hold all walls together when you put it up together. I have it on my videos, but I love the result. I love the coloration of this pot too. It's also a mix of two different glaze, the blue one and the green one, and it has a cracked effect, antique look. So maybe.
So that was a crack on purpose. You actually designed that as part of it.
Yeah, sure. This one definitely, yes. So this is another like, I don't know, I like this kind of design you can see on many of my pots. It's like a rocky style one, and it has a Shina glaze. It's a Japanese glaze, so it is given like a matte look on this pot. And it's like with a together with some modern design. It's like making some. It's making specific pot.
I know it has a nice dark color.
But actually, it's supposed to be like a more blue color.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just put like 3 layers on it, and it become like more darker one. But I like it actually.
It does have a sheen to it. It's kind of glossy. But I still think this could work with a lot of evergreen trees.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's normal that people want to have completely unglazed matte finish on their evergreens. But if you've ever had one in one of these, it actually really works well. I've had some that I've had in a very similar sheen and dark color like that, and I actually like it.
Great. And I have some of the new one from my last unload. I put a school on it and made the texture. It's a rocky texture, and put some brown stain to make it like a depth on the pot. And I have my own label finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a phoenix. And here's some glaze. It's also a mix of the bronze and the mossy green glaze, and it's giving like such effects, like I don't know, green bronze. And I love the flows on it.
I do like the drips to go and just add a little bit of texture. Well, not texture, but they add a little bit of something oomph to that lower section.
Yep. Yeah. It was like on purpose. I leave the upper part without the texture, and the bottom it was with the texture before. So I glaze the top, and it just looks, I don't know. I love it too. Oh, some other pots is a bigger pot. I love the coloration too, and it's like a blue one and darks with some flowing, bright flowings in it. Yeah, and I put like 4 holes for drainage, some wire holes. Yeah, and it's some bigger work.
Now, would you say this is pretty much max size for the kiln?
A little bit more. I can make like a 14-inch pot, the maximum, because when you make it, you need to make it like 16-inch first, and when it's clay is dry and it's shrinkage.
Yeah, so you have a leaf in your hair there. I just noticed.
Bonsai girl with the leaves. Right, here is my favorite tree. It was collected from somebody's garden like 2 years ago, and it's actually one of my first collected bonsais. You can see how huge is the trunk over here. I believe it's like, I don't know, 40-50 years. It's a azalea, by the way.
So was it just part of their up next to the house or something? Where was this when you got
it was like in somebody's garden on the front of the house, and the people just posted ad like on the offer up. They're looking somebody to dig up the plants from their garden for free. They bought a house and they just don't want it in the garden. They just want to make the grass, and that's it. So yeah.
How much of this was sticking out of the ground? Was this the ground level, or was it more up here?
Yeah, I'm up here. I believe like this root. I don't really like this root, how it's tightened around the trunk, but I don't think that I can cut it. It will leave the big scar, so I decided just to leave it here.
So you couldn't even see most of what was down there?
Yeah, so when you dig it up, you just, we'll see how the nibari will look in the future.
Right, because it looks like it's probably just a lot of small stems.
Yes, it was like maybe half a few height, maybe like 3 or 4 feet high. Yeah, so I have to cut all the high branches, and the whole foliage was on the top because it's sunny, and I have to cut everything. It was all like neat azalea without leaves, and like 2 years, you can see how it grows right now. I'm trying to make a ramification, trying to cut some stems, and as I see it will bloom on the spring. I will see the first bloom of this azalea. I'm so excited. I'm not sure, I don't think that it's Satsuki azalea, so it's like around 100 some varieties of azaleas, but I'm okay with it. I just love this tree because it's so huge, and I can just imagine how old is it. When I cut the branch, I like count maybe the rings, and it was like around 35 rings, but it's just on a branch, so I'm
right.
Yep, so we will see. And the main things right now to imagine the pot for this azalea.
Right, that's what I was going to ask. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I'm not sure, and I'm not sure it's gonna fit in my kiln, so maybe I should ask somebody to fire for me, because it's too...
Oh,
too
okay,
big.
so make the pot yourself, but then they'll fire it.
Yes, I think it's at least 16 or 17 each in diameter should be, but we will see. Yeah, I think next year I can repot it. Right now I just leave it to rest and give it a good fertilization, and yeah, it looks like doing okay.
Yeah, it's doing really well. That crossing root, if you
Yeah.
don't like it, I think there is a chance that you can remove it. It's actually fused right there, it looks like, on the bottom one.
Yeah.
And you do have a lot of other roots.
Yeah, but I think it's
So-
gonna leave the big scar over here.
I mean, I guess you just take your choice. Do you want a scar or the raised root?
But what do you do?
I would remove it,
Remove it,
but that's just me, mainly because it looks like a belt.
Yes.
And it really stops your, if you're looking from here, normally you would be able to flow right up through there. Your eye would just naturally move, but it'll stop there every single time.
Yeah, we'll see. Probably I should do this like maybe on February. Just was scary to touch it. I was just hoping that it will be recovered from the like 50 years being in the ground, and then
Yeah.
just dug up and put it in some pot.
And what you can do is don't do anything with the root until you take it out and see what the roots look like. Because it's possible that the thick roots might not have a lot of growth underneath them, and this one may be a large feeder of it. Yeah, it's
So-
probably not worth doing it yet until you have it actually out of the dirt.
How long you usually wait to be repotted? If you, for example, dug somebody plant, and how long you waiting to be repotted in a bonsai pot?
At least 2 years is a good start. It could be more. What I'll usually do is I'll plan on the depth of the pot that I'm going to have. So like for instance, if you had the depth 2 to 3 inches for this, maybe just for example,
Yeah.
based on the trunk size,
Yeah.
I would do my first repotting and root trimming about 2 years after digging it up. And at that point decide if it's ready for a pot or if it should go in a shallower training pot.
So
That's
how you
not quite the
deciding?
depth
Is it
yet.
go to another pot or it's go to shallower pot? How you decided?
It's based on the roots. So if
lot of new
if the roots are going out sideways,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of new roots going out sideways, then you can trim the underneath roots. But if only everything is still growing down, then it's not ready for that. You could trim the bottom roots some, just not as much.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe 1 more year or more. I'm just enjoying life itself right now.
Yeah.
Not really good pot, but anyway.
So here's one that I would have loved to have found. Iana and I both do looking on some ads on Marketplace and offer up and things like that for trees for free. And this obviously was a much larger tree than it is right now. This is a bigger base than any of the maples that I have, so this is very interesting to me, especially because it's not mine. So this is the second time I've been here, and I just really am interested in this big beast of a maple. I think it's going to be really interesting, and I don't know what you're going to do with a pot for that. It's going to be huge.
Yes, yeah. I do have some pot from the woman. She made like this size, but I'm not sure if it's still gonna fit there. We will see. I'll make something. But what I want to say about this tree, when I come there and see this huge tree, it was maybe like, I don't know, 10 feet maple. And I believe it's a coral bark maple, might be. And I didn't see the base. It was like this under the ground. So I didn't see all this base. So when I just started to dug up, and I'll see like, oh my god, I'm not sure if we're gonna, if we're able to put from the ground. And the guy who gives this tree for free, he said, you need to try, because I'm gonna just cut down this tree and just burn it. So yeah, I said, yeah, we need to try something to do. And he helped me with the chains and his truck. So we pulled out from the ground when I was here. And it's already, I believe, like a year and a half in this bucket. and it's regrow all these branches right now. So Sux is doing okay too.
So when it was ripped out of the ground,
Yeah.
Was there a large trunk here and
Yes,
here, and then these
yes.
were taller?
Yes, it's like a bushy style, you know, it's like a hole, and I need to decide to cut some branches. So yeah, it's gonna be really huge scar over here. Maybe to make some deep, I don't know how to tell.
I just call it Deadwood. There's fancy
Deadwood,
names for it.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes. And
You could potentially carve deep into
Yes,
it
that's
and
what
have
I
it be
mean, yeah.
a hollow.
yeah, the hollow wood, yeah.
If you do that, you'll probably need to carve all the way down into the dirt though,
The dirt
because
though.
otherwise it'll just pool the water.
Yeah.
The water will
Yeah,
sit in there
yeah.
like a cup and it'll
The
rot.
routine, yeah. Yeah, that's what probably I will do. And yeah, you see these huge cuts over here. I sealed with some cut paste, but it's not like doing right now really fast healing. We will see. Probably it will be just a part of Deadwood. But there is not so many Deadwood parts on the not evergreen, deciduous trees. So I don't know how it looks with a maple. I mean, did you have experience to have some deadwoods on the maples?
It's different than on evergreen trees. It doesn't look like the wind is blowing on it. It's more like instead of it being a bright white, like a gin on an old juniper,
Yeah.
It would be actually really dark color, a lot like this black color. It wouldn't be very white. And it would probably hollow out quite a bit. If you have a tree that loses a branch, say this was a large branch,
Yep.
and say the snow was heavy and broke it down,
Yep.
it would tear down, and there'd be a long
Yep.
stretched
Yep.
cut down there. And this section would actually be kind of ragged, and then also kind of deep into the trunk there. So that's what they normally look like, but that's not what they always look like. It could be that so this is something that I'm not sure that everyone's doing. Most people want to think of a tree as it might be out in the wild. This wasn't in the wild though.
Yeah.
And it was in the landscape. And I don't think it's so bad to say, honestly, this came from the landscape. This cut came when it was removed from the landscape. That is all part of the tree's story.
Yes.
And that's pretty neat. And every
Right.
time you talk about it, you're going to be telling the story,
Yeah.
and you can speak to it really clearly. You could hide it, or you can just say, this is what the tree's journey has been so
Yeah,
far.
that's
And
what
you're
mainly-
honoring the
yeah.
tree.
That's what the mainly trapped in the bonsai, the story of the tree.
Yeah, so if it were me, I wouldn't hide it. I would do whatever you think is right for it, and then just speak to it anytime you talk about the tree.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I see a lot of diabetics over here. So just in future probably we need to make some flatter cuts, angle ones, to continue the branches. Yeah.
Yeah, that way, right now these big stubs, they just come to a stub and it's really noticeable. So if you have, like it's thicker, goes a little thinner, and then steps a little thinner. So trying to make these steps smooth is really the trick. So this will die back and you can eventually smooth that off more.
Do you usually cut these long branches right now, or you just wanna? You recommend me to leave it like this to grow, to be more fattened?
So let's take two examples. This branch is already pretty long and it already has some taper. It steps down like we talked about. I would cut it about here-ish and let it start to fill out over there, because it's already a long ways from the tree.
It's already pretty sick right now.
Now say this other side, you have these two branches up here. They come out of a very thick stem.
Yes.
So if you were to cut these and have it start to branch out, it's still going to look like it comes from very thick to a very thin. So it would be good to let these two grow just without cutting, maybe for another year,
Okay.
and let them get 2 to 3 times that thick before you think about it. Maybe more like this thickness.
Yeah, it's a good advice. That's what I think to do too.
Uh-huh.
Nice. Oh, well, let's see how it's recover in a few years. Here's another tree that was collected from somebody's garden, and this is going to be burned too if I'm not collected.
Uh-huh.
So it was like a really straight bush, so I have to cut the branches again. But I don't see like any interesting bonsai tapers, but a lot of straight branches. So what I'm trying right now to keep it healthy, to be to be good in the pot after the ground, and after I think to make some shari. So maybe any advice from you, Jared?
That first step of keeping it healthy, that's the most important thing. It's just it has to be able to survive any work that you do on it.
Yes.
So with you like this, these little stems that start coming out further back, that's when you start to feel good about it. Like these ones from back here, I see little buds on them. That's all really good signs. So after a hard cutback like that, it'll push the growth back down in. And when it's nice and dark green, not so floppy like this, nice and dark green from all over in there, then it's probably ready to be worked. In fact, all the way to the thick part of the trunk even.
Yeah.
Like right up in here.
Should I cut it a little bit more? I mean, is it not look too high?
It doesn't have a really thick trunk.
So maybe.
But it does have a lot of branching. This one would take some looking at. I'm not quite sure what answer just yet.
Yes, it's just hard to
I have a feeling it would look good cut down a little bit further. I mean, it'd be nice if this was a live branch, but it doesn't look like it's doing much.
It has a.
It does have a tiny bit.
Like a couple of them. It was just dug up maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So it was maybe end of August, so it doesn't have so many times to recover.
This could be a neat thing for people to comment and see and say what they would do with this one.
Yeah. Do you see the helmet too?
Yeah, it has it's almost all the way healed there already.
Oh no, it was not from my cut. It was just like in nature.
Right.
Yes, like other tree, I try to fertilize it as much as possible to grow whole branches and leaves.
It definitely has a curve that goes this way, so for classical bonsai that's perfect. This is what most people would consider a front of a tree because it would curve up and over. It would make you think that you're underneath a tree.
But you see it's a lot of like branches from one point and crossing each other, so probably it needs to be a little bit cut.
Yeah, ultimately, when you get it to the stage of being bonsai, most of these long sections wouldn't be that usable. They'd have to be cut back and then regrown, starting the forks and bifurcation, ramification, all those fun words. Especially these super, super long ones like this one. It's almost the same thickness from the base to the end.
Yes, it's a great one.
But that's the way that they grow in the ground, so it's not unusual to see that.
But it's a yew, so it should be the hardy plant.
They are very strong. I had two that I had as bonsai about 15 years ago, and they weren't really doing very much because I wasn't that great at it yet. I wasn't keeping them healthy, and so I thought, oh, these are never going to be bonsai. So I put them in the ground, and they were in the ground until this last spring. And like I was talking about the bushiness and the dark green, they developed that because they grew strong in the ground.
Okay.
And so I thought, okay, so they're ready now, and I'm ready and better at this stuff now.
Yeah.
And I dug them up, and since they were ready, when I trimmed them back, they responded with just a ton of new growth.
Nice.
And so from spring until now, they are completely full of new growth after cutting branches similar to this.
And you will be ready to do something with it.
Yeah.
So how long are you doing bonsai? Like 40 years?
20 years.
20 years, okay.
Yeah. So I actually, I grew up in California and I moved up here at the end of 1999. And people were telling me that the world was going to end. It didn't end.
Oh,
so I did bonsai instead. So.
Nice. Yeah. And you fell in love with the first step, right? We're doing a bonsai. It's like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's look at some other ones.
Yep.
Which one?
Maybe this tree from the
Okay.
pine.
The white pine?
Yeah. I have no idea what to do with this. So is it good so that you're making advice on a video, or maybe we need to concentrate like on the history of any tree? Because this one's just from a nursery. And what I can tell is that I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it's good just to talk in general, even if there's not much to be said about it. People just like to look at it, and then while you're talking, they'll think too about what they would do.
Did you watch a lot of videos on YouTube from like other bonsai?
what I noticed on a lot of the videos is that they were missing a variety of thought processes. It was usually, this is what all the bonsai people say to do, and this is how you're supposed to wire, and we're going to learn how to do these steps in order.
Yeah.
And then I would look out into these trees right here, and I would say, that doesn't look anything like what they're showing me how to do on that. I'm just not connecting to it.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I do it in a very natural style either, but I'm trying to connect more to what nature does compared to what bonsai is.
You don't like to use a wire?
I do use wire.
You do?
Sometimes it's fun, but I don't know. I find that if you want to create Deadwood, for example,
Yeah.
You can rip the branch and you can cut it and do different things, but it's not something that I feel really connected to.
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing it. It's just I enjoy like the maples, obviously, quite a bit more, and deciduous trees. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so pines, especially ones that look like this, like white pine, these are really highly sought after. So even though it doesn't look like a bonsai right now,
Yeah. No.
you could take this sort of growth and make a bonsai looking pad.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did it in a second there, and you can do that with wire just as easily. So it's definitely doable to do something like
But I
this.
probably need to cut some branches and find a leader for this tree.
Right? With the with it having a trunk and then branching up higher, it's probably not a great candidate for a multi-trunk.
Yeah.
So I would suggest making decisions on which of these stems you want to keep.
Probably cut this one. This is bigger branch to make it tree a little bit taller. Looks.
Yeah. If you want to put a lot of curves into it,
Yeah.
these two can curve really well. Ones that are this thick and more would be more difficult to curve.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it could be done. But yeah, you could make sure that you keep these two really healthy,
Yeah.
and cut everything off, and you can do the entire tree off of those two.
Yeah.
That's not what I would do, but you could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's so many. I don't want to lose so many branches. It's so
Yeah.
healthy tree, and then just cut it.
Do you know what kind of? You don't know what kind of pine it is? You said.
White pine?
Is it a certain variety of Japanese white pine?
No, I
Is
don't
it,
know. Just
Okay.
like a white pine.
It's got a lot of little buds at the tips, so that's good. And it looks like it's grown quite a bit in the past from those spots.
Yes. It's actually my first pine, so I never worked with something like this. But I really love how it's like the needles. It's really soft.
They are soft. I keep on tapping like
You
that.
know what people usually do? They trying to put on a black pine. They do in
The grafting onto something like black pine.
grafting of the
Right.
black pine, yeah. Because the black pine is more hardy. I believe so. But
This does look
I
like it
didn't
could
see
be
it.
from seed. I don't see
it
a
could
graft
be.
line there.
Yeah, maybe. I didn't see too.
Because normally if there's a grafted like you're talking
Yeah.
about, this will be just really swollen underneath the branches and then thinner up above it, and this looks all even.
Yeah, I see so many cherry trees on somebody's garden when I walk in there. It was grafted. But here, no. Well, see.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alright, here's another azalea that was collected 2 years ago. It was actually from the same garden that the first azalea, the bigger one, was, like 40-50 years old. And this has some Deadwood features on it that I was trying to do instead of just cut branches. And it's trying to regrow some big branch right now. And that's it.
This one is pretty neat. I like the base on this one.
Yes, I see like it has maybe to trying to make some cascade style. From other side it's whole Deadwood. Like a, yeah, and but it survived.
It's hard to actually get in to see it because it has such a full
Yes,
canopy.
Yes, yes. So many, but I'm the one to cut branches right now. I'm trying to make some more, collect more energy to the plant. If I'll just cut the branches right now, it will be just trunk and few branch. But you can see that over here maybe. Let's try to do from cut.
Yeah, there's. It looked like there was a lot more going on that.
Yeah, and this one's the same from same garden. It was like maybe 5 or 6 azaleas. This one too, and all of them that I'm surprised doing well. Maybe it's just because of azaleas. It's native to Washington State, to Seattle. So many people has in their gardens, and so many doesn't want them. So we're trying just to save the tree and to make it as a beautiful bonsai.
And you have a lot.
This is azalea too, and this was collected like maybe a year ago, and it's growing very well too. Put some small succulents plants.
Oh right, like a hens and chicks.
Yeah,
or no, not hens and chicks. I don't remember what these ones are called.
I'm totally not familiar with the succulent one.
Yeah. This one's really interesting to me, the multi-trunk one here.
Oh yeah. I wasn't able to separate it, and it like will be not good, I think. So I'm glad that I left it. It's like maybe 5 trunks. Maybe I'll make like a azalea forest or something for the future.
Yeah, that would be a really neat one.
Yeah, and it's collected actually like maybe 6 months ago, 7 months ago, and it's doing well. But some of the azaleas that I collected maybe on October, end of October, didn't have enough time to regrow some branches. About azaleas. But after my friend, he said, "Hey, look at this! Like on a bonsai museum, it was flowering azaleas. Like wow, it's so beautiful." And it just started, and I see a lot of people doesn't want azaleas in the gardens, so it's a good chance for me to have it as a bonsai. For example, this one was collected maybe like 3 months ago, and you see the trunk. It's like going like this, and it's not a cut here, so it's just going like naturally. Probably
that's wild.
Yes, you'll see it maybe like semi-cascade style or...
Well, whatever you do, show that really neat looking bend there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, small leaves. And it's interesting part too that I never know what kind of color will be the flowers. It will be surprised.
Right.
Spring. Some of them, yeah. I don't think that we should make a video of this.
Oh, yeah, not everything does so well, does it?
Yeah. Yeah, so...
But it still has leaves.
It has a beautiful trunk over here. And I just don't know what's going on. It was actually the women dug up, and she posted that ad that you can pick up like today or tomorrow. And we stopped by, and it was already like left on the ground, and it was fully under the sun. In the summer.
Okay.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
and we just take it and try and put it on the ground and water it. So just we need to wait. But it was too long, like on the sun.
It could be. It's definitely suffering still. It probably lost quite a bit of roots.
Yeah, we'll see. This is a maple too, but this is a native one.
A vine maple.
Vine maple.
Yeah.
Yes. This one looks like giant bed, and it was collected maybe like 2 months ago. It has just maybe 2 or 3 branches growing that grows, but it does look fine.
Yeah.
We'll see in the spring.
Wanted to look at this one. You said this is just a big shrub. So this is one that you also dug up and you moved here?
Yes.
And just put it where you could?
Yes. I'm just trying to find some space to put it over here, because I have no idea how to make a bonsai from it. But anyway, it will have a lot of flowers, so just leave it like a bush.
Yeah.
This is, it has so many trunks in it. It has a lot of roots, so it was hard to separate it. I need to use a chain, and it's so hard. It just have like one big root on whole this one, so I decided to put it on ground. And this is couple months. Oh, that's surprise to me. I can talk about it like forever.
Well, thank you, Iana, for showing me around and everything and showing me all the pots, and especially for this one, which I'll probably show a little more detail in another video. This was a custom pot that Iana made for me. I have a tree that's very unique, and I needed a very unique pot. So she was the one I wanted to go for, and thank you for that one. That one's going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm glad that you like it.
Yeah.
The color is like that I'm expected. So yeah, I'm so glad.
And this is definitely a treat to see all of the things that you're working on. I see some of it on your Instagram, but this is so much better. Bonsai and bonsai pots are so much better in person.
Yeah.
I've found a two-dimensional picture or image on a screen just doesn't do it justice.
That's
So.
good. When people ordering some pots, it's great that they're expecting something different in the photo and they get it. It's better than in the photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for the tour. I'll be back because I love your pots, so good work there. If you're interested in seeing Iana's work, I'm going to have some links in the description. You can find her on Instagram. Also, if you're on Facebook, there's some bonsai auctions where she has some of hers, both 99-cent and bonsai auctions.
Yep.
There are different levels that you could
Yeah.
buy them on. Okay. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching.
And I want to say thank you to the Jared for some advices for the bonsai trees and for coming in. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.